If you're either trying to grow your following or manage a brand on social media, there is no chance you won't be getting at least a little bit overwhelmed. What should be your next post? How much should you post? What hooks do I use? These are just some of the things that will be stressing you out. But today, we're going to fix all of that because I'm going to teach you how to build a social media AI agent that scrapes your Instagram profile, understands what content works best, and then plans the content in accordance to what's going to maximize your engagement. And that includes writing your scripts and choosing your hooks based on performance data so that you can get the most amount of views possible. But you're not here to watch me talk, you're here to learn. So let's get right into it. If you're new to AI agents, you have to understand that an agent is essentially composed by three core elements. That is the model, the tools, and instructions. The model will be most likely Claude, at least in our case. The tools are essentially what we're going to be equipping our agent with so that they can perform. In this case, our agent definitely has to have access to Instagram. And then instructions are, of course, the context that we're going to give the agent and essentially the system prompt where we're going to define how the agent is going to behave. I won't go much more into details of how the agent orchestration works because I've made a couple of videos on my channel which you can watch right here. But if you're keen on learning the basics of an AI agent, I actually put together a very short quiz, which I'll leave the link in the description, where you can go here and you can play around. You don't have to sign up or anything. This is just a quick way of learning a little bit more about AI agents. Now, looking into how the agent is actually going to behave, I like to always put together a mapping of what the behavior is going to look like before I actually set it up, because this kind of helps me scope out how the agent is going to look like and what tools it's going to use and how it's going to behave. So in our case, I want an agent to be switched on whenever I send a message, or I can actually set it up to be scheduled automatically. But whenever the agent is turned on, it's going to scrape Instagram, it's going to run an analysis, it's going to produce recommendations and an output, and then it'll get back to me with whatever that may be. And I know here that to scrape Instagram, we're going to be using Apify. I also know that to run the analysis, we're going to be using Claude. And in my case, to produce recommendations, it's going to be either Claude or Gemini. I actually have both models working. And I want the output to be processed in a Google Sheet because this could have been Notion, or it could have been a Google Word doc or whatever it is. But in my case, I just prefer Google Sheets. And now if you're not familiar with what Apify is, it's essentially this marketplace where you can find a lot of different scrapers. And so if you go right here and you go Instagram scraper, you're able to see a bunch of different actors. That's what they call, which are essentially workflows that allow you to scrape different websites. In this case, we're looking for Instagram. And here you're also able to see how many people are using that actor and the types of reviews that it has as well. So this one is quite good. I wrote a blog, which I will leave the link in the description with all of the links that include both the quiz and the actor that I used and everything in between. So you're going to be able to access all of that. Now it's time for us to actually build the agent. And this agent in specific, what I wanted to do is to essentially scrape my Instagram account, look at what's performing really well, and then give me recommendations for future pieces of content that will perform as well as the best performing pieces of content. Now, I could either do this, or I can scrape my competitors' accounts, or let's say accounts that I really aspire to be like, and then get content ideas based on what they have performing really well. That's also a very smart thing to do. Either way, the process is the same, so I'm going to show you how I set it up right now. I'm going to go here to my Talk to Me Data account, and this is the best website for you to orchestrate your agents. As you can see here, I have quite a few agents running already. And the way it works is all you have to do is click here on Request Agent, and then you just have to describe your workflow. So in my case, my agent is going to be called Social Media AI Agent for Instagram. And then I'm just going to add a detailed description. I want to build an agent that scrapes my Instagram account, identifies winning posts, and plans the next post for me to maximize engagement. Cool, continue. And then this is why it's important to have the tools that you will need beforehand, because in my case, I want to be using Apify, and I also want my agent to be giving me the results in a Google Sheet. Continue. I'm going to select standards, and here I'm just going to submit requests. And just like this, the agent will be essentially requested and it will be created. I don't have to do anything about it. However, I'm actually going to give you the insight of how the agent is created in the backend, just in case you don't want to use Talk to Me Data and you want to use a different platform, you can do it as well. So as you can see here, in my case, Apify, Google Sheets, they're already connected. I'm going to go to the admin panel, which is something that only I have access to because I'm the founder of Talk to Me Data. And I will show you what it looks like on the back end. So I'm going to give a name to my agent here. let's say Instagram AI agent, and a short description. But this part right here, system prompt, this is where the magic actually happens. We need to be really descriptive and very careful with the way we set up our system prompt, because these are the guardrails and essentially the instructions of how our agent is going to behave. So I've already created a prompt, which you can find on my website. I'll leave the link in the description. And as you can see here, there are a few elements in the prompt that need to be adjusted. So for example, what is the Instagram account that you want to track? How many pieces of content do you want to analyze? If in my case, I put 40. And then you also need to have a spreadsheet ID, because in my case, I will be using Google Sheets. So you want to make sure that the information is saved in the correct Google Sheets. I'm now going to click here on copy prompt, and I'm going to go back to my system and just add it here. I'm then going to my Instagram account and I'm going to copy the link, and make sure to follow me on my Instagram, because I've just created this account and I started posting short form content. If you like daily AI tips, make sure to follow me there. In the meantime, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add my Instagram account right here. And then I'm also going to go to grab the sheet ID from a Google Sheet that I have open, and I'm going to paste it right here. And I'm going to add the name of the tab as well. Then all I have to do is select the connectors. And I'm actually going to set this as a recurring task, because I want it to run every week. Let's say weekdays. No, let's say weekly. So every Monday at 9 a.m. And this run is going to be called Insta AI Agent Weekly Run. It's going to be active, and I'm going to create the agent. So the agent at this point is created and live. But now what I really want to show you is, how does it actually work? And does it produce any good outputs? Well, let me show you right now. So in this case, you're going to be able to see right here that my agent, my Instagram AI agent, has been built and it's here. It has access to both Google Sheets and Apify. So I'm going to click on Run. And here I can just have a conversation with the agent. We know that it's going to be running on a scheduled basis, but I can always talk to it and get it to produce an output. And I'm going to say, pull me ideas for new posts based on my last 10 posts. And I'm going to hit go. And now what the agent is going to do is use the scraper, go to my Instagram profile, pull the scripts and pull the data from my posts, look at what's performed best, and then hopefully produce some pretty solid recommendations based on that. So let's have a look. The agent is thinking, okay. And yeah, in no time, it's going to produce this, which is essentially a summary. And by the way, if you recall, I want my information to be saved in a Google Sheet, not here, but the agent is also giving me a snapshot of the information right here. As you can see, it gives me the short hook, the views, the likes, and the engagement rate percentage. So I can see right here that my number one is stop using Claude until you know these 3 hacks. So that seems to be what worked the best, which is interesting. But even after producing this, the agent will take maybe 30 to 45 seconds to run, and eventually it will give me this result. So you can see here the section that we'd seen already, but then there's an analysis section with the top 3 hooks that worked best by views. And then the formula is clear, stop X until you know something, plus numbered list, big outcome, okay. So this is where we use the Claude model to essentially analyze the performance after we have scraped the information. And then it gives me 3 strong new ideas for future pieces of content. So this is pretty interesting. If I go to my Google Sheets, I will also be able to see that the agent saved all of this information in this Google Sheet. Now, I understand that for most people, this is going to be a quite boring way of looking at it. I just like to have my data like this, but I could definitely make it look prettier if I wanted to, or I could change up the format a little if I wanted to, but that's not the most important thing right now. You can see right here on the left the dates in which the piece of content analyzed was posted. You can also see that if I click on it, it will take me to the actual reel. And you can see the hook used, the number of views, the number of likes, the number of comments, and the engagement rate as well. If you scroll down, you will see that the agent has also given me a more in-depth analysis on my writing patterns, but also new ideas for me to create new content. So that's a very short way of putting how to build a social media AI agent. You can automate and streamline so much of your work like this, especially if you're growing an account or you're trying to manage several brands. This is super, super useful. I use, obviously, Talk to Me data to produce and manage and orchestrate all of my agents. And so if you're interested in building your own agents, make sure to reach out via Talk to Me data. You can book a demo, talk to me, and then we can see if there's a fit. I can onboard you onto the platform. And by the way, this is just a simple idea on how you can build this social media agent. You can do the same for TikTok or for LinkedIn or for any other social media platform. But as you start growing and putting more and more emphasis on social media work, you will understand that having an AI agent can save you hours and hours of work per week. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any comments, leave them down below. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.